Notice of public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a regular meeting on Tuesday, December the 1st, 2009, at 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas.
Please face the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
We have an honored lay pastor, George Robles from International Christian Center, who will lead us in the invocation. Welcome.
He's also a father of one of the athletes from Hannah High School.
Welcome, Mr. Robles. Thank you for leading the prayer.
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity. Let us bow our heads and pray. Father God, we just thank you, Lord. We thank you for your blessings upon us. Father, thank you for everything that went well, Lord God, in this city and in our high schools, Father, especially Hannah High School, Lord, with the football team. We just thank you. And Father, we ask you that you lead us and that you continue to guide us. Father, that we thank you for the opportunity that these leaders give us to acknowledge you in our city. Father, we know that without you, nothing gets done. Father, we just ask you for your wisdom in this place, for your presence, for your love. And Father, help us to respect one another, even when we don't agree with each other. And Father, we thank you. In Jesus' name, and everyone says,
Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. We'll start with the proclamations. Is somebody here from the Rotary? Were they contacted?
According to buildings, they were.
Did they say they were going to make? They'll be here. Okay, let's skip. Maybe they're running late, or if not, we'll do it at the next meeting. They might have just forgotten. Okay, Tito Mata also couldn't be here. He's taking an exam on his master's. And then we have a proclamation of the 2009 District 32-5A in Brownsville City champion Hannah High School Eagle football team. Okay, who's going to read the proclamation?
I'm going to read it. So before I do, I just want to congratulate the Hannah Eagles this year on their great season. And before we read this proclamation, and I think Charani would agree with me, we're both ex-Hannah Eagles. We're very proud of what y'all achieved this year. And for me, I got to be there as a fan all year, and I got to see, and what makes this special reading this proclamation to you all this year, not just the fact that you all won district, it's the fact that you sent a message to people in Brownsville that we don't got to send our kids to Los Fresnos. We don't got to send our kids to San Benito to play good football. We did it here in Brownsville. And though Hannah Eagles didn't have the numbers this year, they didn't. They had, 40 kids on the varsity, compared to Los Fresnos, who had 70 kids, San Benito, who had 60 kids. You know, it was amazing how the epitome of the word team was established with this team. Everybody was a family. They worked out hard this summer. I saw them. They were together. They were backed up by the students. The principal, I saw the principal run out there a couple of times after the game. It was. You could feel it. The parents were involved. We tailgated at the first playoff game at Sam Stadium. The kids loved it. We barbecued. It was just special, you know. And this is what I get. You know, everybody says, "What do you get out of being a commissioner?" This is what I get out of being a commissioner. For me personally, is to see that kids like this excel, and mostly all these kids too are doing well in their academics as well, and And it's just, these kids have to be recognized for not only winning, because winning is important, but it's not everything, but the togetherness and the spirit that they provided this city during the year. And that's why they need to be recognized. So I'd like to read it, and it goes out to the coaches too. The coaches stuck together. The team saw that the coaches were together. Everything about this team, from the coaches to the student body to the athletes, everybody was a team and a family, and that's why it's important that they be recognized, because Brownsville needs to recognize their youth, the youth of Brownsville. The two youths, no, the youth. Here, let me read this. All right, this is a proclamation. Hold on, y'all want to get down there?
Wait till they get everybody.
Yeah,
Let's get everybody organized.
Yeah, Vinny.
I'm sorry. Y'all want to get down there? Did you want to say something?
I don't think there's room for us. Come on,
While,
just fill in the second row and the third row till we get everybody in, so you can have a nice group picture.
Yeah, you
We're
all
probably
need
gonna
to
need to do a
be
couple
kind
lines.
You'd all need to be over there so that you can get on the camera. So you'll make several rows.
We want the cheerleaders up here also, y'all can be on the front.
just make lines.
Yeah, just keep going,
You probably need to be about 3 deep.
Yeah. Cover two, man.
Try to get everybody you can in here.
Bill needs a ladder.
Bill, where's Bill?
If some of y'all want to take a knee in the first row, y'all can take a knee if you want. Like you're getting together for a team picture or something. Get on a knee in the front.
I'll take yours.
I'd like to know if Commissioner Tarani, I know you're an alumni from there too, if you'd like to say anything.
I'd just like to congratulate the team, all of the coaching staff, the administration. It was a wonderful, wonderful year, and it was really exciting for everybody, and I really enjoyed going to the games, and I got to see a lot of friends of mine that I'd gone to high school with that I hadn't seen in a long time, and it brings out the best in our community, and these players have demonstrated the best of our high school system this year, and congratulations to everybody. It was a team effort, and it's phenomenal. Thank you.
I invite the commission to come in here, that way they'll have a group shot here, tight shot. There you go.
All right, let me read this proclamation from the city of Brownsville. City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, congratulating the 2009 District 32-5A and Brownsville City champion Hannah High School Eagles football team. Whereas in 1909, Brownsville High School played its first season of football, and 60 years later, Brownsville High School Eagles team won the district championship. And now, 40 years after the championship season, the Eagles, now the Homer Hannah High School Eagles, won another district championship. And whereas the Homer Hannah High School Eagles completed a perfect 7-0, 32-5A district season, a 9-1 overall regular season, and in so doing earned a berth in the Texas State playoffs by district game. And whereas included on the 2009 Eagles roster is district most valuable player Kike Saldana, defensive newcomer of the year William Labani, and 11 first-team all-district players, 6 second-team all-district players, and 9 honorable mention all-district players. And whereas team members include Steven Vallejo, Kike Saldana, Kevin Reyna, Mike Garza, Randy Ray, Tito Perez, Anthony Garza, Chris Ortiz, Luis Garcia, Sam Chong, Edgar Lee, Eric Perez, Juan Marchand, Angelo Guaraguivid, Manuel Pisaña, Steven Delgado, Orlando Martinez, Kevin Alvarez, William Labani, Mario Molina, Mario Morales, Justin Robles, David Gomez, Josh Herrera, Gabriel Rodriguez, and Sammy Lucio. And whereas also Chris Soto, Jose Alvarez, Alejandro Torres, Marty Contreras, Brian Perez, Jose M. Escamilla, Santiago Mendez, Mark Sassi, Sean Tobias, Justin Garcia, Abraham Aguilera, Thomas Hinojosa, Jonathan Lopez, Alex Campos, Roger Sanchez, Miguel Ramos, Rigo Peña, Albert Licash, Stephen Ramirez, and Principal Terry Alacon, Athletic Director Joe Rodriguez, Athletic Coordinator Tom Chavez, Defensive Coordinator Juan Cavazos, Offensive Coordinator Tom Campos, Varsity Assistants Farley Trevino, Greg Larson, Mike Chavez, and Paul Penrod. Now therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of authority vested by the charter of said city, do hereby congratulate the 2009 District 32-5A and Brownsville City champion Homer Hanna High School Eagle football team on a great season and a job well done. Done on this day, the first day of December 2009, signed by your mayor, Pat O'Mala, and the rest of the City Commission. Thank you. At this time, we want to bring up Terry Alacon and Tom Chavez to say a few words, and I'll go give you all the proclamation. Did you mention the cheerleaders? Oh, yeah. Of course. Thank you, cheerleaders.
Okay, would somebody like to say a few words? Anybody representing the team, coach, anybody? Okay, you got it, okay.
I'd like to say a few words. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting us, Mayor Amada and city commissioners. It's a great invitation, great honor for us to be here. These young men deserve a lot of recognition because they did something that was way above and beyond anybody else in the whole valley, I believe. These young men came together as a group. The coaches all rallied around. They did what we asked them to do. And as you can see, we're not big in numbers, but we have a lot of heart, and they played as hard as they could. And through that, and through the development of their work ethics, and as Mr. Atkinson mentioned, as being a team, our motto at the end of the year at this time with this group was to play as one, as a team. And that's what carried this team right here. Because we have a lot of guys, a lot of individuals that just played their hearts out and played football and it showed by what Mr. Atkinson just read right now. I have a little speech here, and it includes some of these things that I asked Mr. Campos to write it for me, and what this team was all about and what our season was all about, and it won't take very long. If I may, I'd like to read it. I would like to introduce to the City of Brownsville the 2009 District 32-5A Brownsville City Champions. Your Homer Hanna Golden Eagles football teams the past season brought many accomplishments and accolades back to our beloved border town and to our storied program at Hanna High School. These young men achieved what the previous 40 Hanna football teams could not, and that was to win the district champions. Throughout the amazing seasons, there were several stories swirling around the media about what was being accomplished by this young group of men, one of which was storied about Brownsville celebrating its 100th year of high school football, and how fitting on the 40th year anniversary of the last district championship was produced by a Hanna football team. The feat would be matched by our 2009 district champs. The year's football team symbolized everything that football is all about and what every coach dreams of, a group of young individuals from different sides of town, economic backgrounds, and ethnics who came together as one to achieve a near perfection and overcome the all odds. The preseason polls were not kind to us. The preseason polls were not kind to our Hanna bunch. In fact, we were picked to finish dead last in one poll and second to the last in another poll. With that being said, the fine football team brought back Brownsville something that had been eluded for nearly 60 years, an undefeated district record. For all the previous, present, and future players, coaches, students, and faculty here at Homer Hanna High School, I hope that this season inspired you and made you proud to call yourself a Golden Eagle.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Good evening. I'd also like to say a few words. First of all, thank you so much for this acknowledgement and recognition. And I just want to thank, first of all, our students for an incredible season, and thank you for the recognition tonight. I'd also like to thank the city because what was accomplished this year was more than just a district title. Those of you that were at the game and those of you that saw the game know that what this team did was they brought the whole city together. When I looked out at the stands and after throwing a few footballs to the fans, I saw Brownsville coming together. It was not just Hannah, it was the entire team. So I congratulate this football team for bringing the whole entire city of Brownsville together and filled a Sam's Stadium, not only on our home team, but on the visitor side, and did something that had not been accomplished. So I think that this team is setting the precedent for what future teams are going to do, and that is bringing the whole entire team together and the whole entire city together as one, and this team did it today. So thank you so much for this accomplishment, students, and thank you so much for this recognition. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sister, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Good to see you again. No problem.
All right, you're welcome. Hey, congratulations.
We went that one, a real small one, was tall. The other two, they small.
Doesn't seem quite the same with everybody leaving. Okay, moving on. I have an announcement to make. This does not require posting, but I'm going to make it anyway. There's an expiration on the Brownsville Housing Authority. I will be appointing Rosario Gonzalez, and she will take office December 14th, effectively. She will be sworn in. So I just wanted to make that appointment announcement there. Presentations, Employee of the Month is next. City Manager.
Mayor, members of the commission, please welcome our Employee of the Month for December, Mariam Y. Torres. She works at the Finance Department under Pete Gonzalez. She's been there for a few years now. She started off at the lower level, Tech 1, and she has been promoted to level 2. She's done an excellent job. Her job performance is, her attitude, job skills, cooperation, and customer service have been outstanding in the 2 years that she's been with us. She works in the accounts payable division, within the finance department. However, she is assigned many other tasks, as many of our employees are, and she welcomes that with open hands and assists all the other employees within her department to get the job done. Obviously, our finance department has been given several awards over the last few years, and she is part of that. She does a lot of the keying into our logo system and things like that, accounts payable. She is a great asset to our city. And as you know, she is the Employee of the Month for December, which is our month now for having our event, which is on December 11th, and she will be considered for Employee of the Year. So with that, she gets the cap, not the color of her suit, but her pin. In recognition for outstanding service rendered to the city of Brownsville for the month of December.
Congratulations.
And of course, being on the finance department, she's got a lengthy speech and she wants to give some words to the commission.
If you're anything like Pete, you're going to do great. Very conservative.
But I have very good role models, though. Just wanted to thank all my supervisors for this recognition, and it's been great, working for the city of Brownsville. I've been getting a lot of opportunities and a lot of skills to keep on growing, and I appreciate all the attentions that I've been having. I have great supervisors and co-workers, and I'm very glad that I'm been getting, well trained and everything, and just gonna, keep on doing my good job, and I wish we could have more recognitions. I believe in a happy employee is a successful employee, so it would be nice to have like more recognitions as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, the next is the consent agenda items.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion on any of the items? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. At request, we're moving item number 11 to number 1. Can I have a motion? Moving it up. Can I have a motion to move it up?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Please move up item number 11.
Okay. Item 11, consideration and action on the Memorandum of Understanding for establishing the foundation of the Imagine Brownsville Planning Coordinator Board as the entity responsible for the implementation of the Imagine Brownsville Comprehensive Plan, including an annual contribution of $25,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have not called for a motion. Is there anybody here from Imagine Brownsville? You must wait to be recognized, please. Please, Mr. Rustenberg, welcome to our chambers.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to be before you here this evening. As all of you know, the past 2+ years we've worked as a community, had over 400 volunteers, and worked with the city staff and commissioners to carry out the plan for Imagine Brownsville. We finished that plan. It's a good plan. It was recognized statewide as the #1 plan in the state of Texas out of 40 communities. At this point, we came to a conclusion, what is the best way to proceed forward with this plan and implement it? And so we have put together, or we're in the process of forming, a coordinating board with no authority, but to facilitate with 7 public entities in the area, the executive director from each entity, plus an appointed person to represent that entity, and as a unified area, endorsing the plan, having a proclamation of support, participating with $25,000 each for the plan for the first year, and also to sign a memorandum of understanding and incorporate some bylaws. So we're in the process of doing that. There's 7 entities. The JBIC, BCIC, the BISD, and the PUB have already approved this. To tonight. We're asking the city to do the same, as well as UTB and Brownsville Navigation District, which will be later this month. So that's, I'll be happy to try to answer any questions. We've had excellent participation. Everyone's very excited about pooling our resources and our brain power and our volunteer effort to carry this forward for our region.
Thank you, Mr. Russell, for coming here, and I of course, appreciate all the effort that's been put by the volunteers to get you this far. And of course, you understand that we have differences of opinion, and respectfully, we can discuss them openly, and it's an expression of what's out there in the community by some, and it's whether you agree or disagree, and that's okay, you know. Let me ask you this. Is this a nonprofit organization?
Currently, it is not. We're taking a look at possibly having a nonprofit, city attorneys involved, and you may want to
Mr. Mayor, one of the things that we're talking about right now is what form this entity would take. It's possible that the entity will be formed as a nonprofit corporation, but it's equally possible that what's going to happen is the entity will be formed pursuant to interlocal agreement between the different entities. So that's something that's in the process of being decided right now.
That's fine, and it seems to me, and again, Mr. Osterberg, with all due respect, it seems to me that the Imagine Brownsville plan was formulated and it was put together based on a compilation of all the plans by all the public entities, which is good. It helps us coordinate and see what everybody has to offer or wants to do. But my objection at the time—
I disagree with that personally.
It's okay, Commissioner.
Because it was
and I respect
the community came together.
Okay, and I respect
and provided
that.
the project.
But please wait to be recognized, okay? We're here to, and with all respect, to discuss the plan so people can better understand it. And but anyway, it's a compilation of all the entities' plans, and it helps us. It helps the community see what everybody else is doing. The concern I had back then is that it had no financial plan or no time frame to implement or prioritize, implement whatever the vision was of the compilation of the plans. Now I'm hearing that there is going to be something to that effect. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So it's still being formulated, though.
This coordinating board is being formulated, and
to do that.
And actually, if I may, actually during the process, there were 450 community volunteers that actually came together, and we started from scratch. A lot of the public entities that I named, all of them, had participants as well during this process, and so it was only natural to proceed to the next step to have a unified effort and to improve the communication. Everyone wants what's best for the community. There are differences of opinion, but this provides a mechanism to discuss these things and keep everyone informed and move forward.
And I too want everything was best. I mean, for the community. I mean, after all, I am the mayor, and my job is to be engaged and learn what the community wants and wants to get done. But in no way is the entities responsible for their own plan abdicating their position or authority to the Imagine Brownsville. This is just for clarification, Mr.
Right, and that's a very good point, because as I mentioned, this board that we're trying to put together, the coordinating board, has no authority per se as that board. We try to work together and identify plans and that we can possibly all agree to. Then the representatives from those entities go back to their entities and they vote on it. They can either table it or agree to participate or not participate or whatever. And of course, it's very transparent. Those are all recorded meetings. And so it's just our effort to try to, as a community, to try to take it to the next step.
So the contribution from each public entity Do you have a time frame? Is this a perpetual thing, or is it?
We're
how's that gonna work?
we're asking as a commitment from each of those entities to put in $25,000 each for the first year. And going forward, hopefully we can get some grants and this thing will perpetuate. It's a very small, bare bones budget. There's no executive director, and there's a facilitator for very little. And you know, we have a lot of people involved that are in kind. I think Jeff Johnston is involved as well from the city, and others. And as I mentioned, all the executive directors from those different entities.
So the executive director of the Imagine Brownsville, will he be full-time?
We haven't determined that. I mean, it'll be whatever it needs to be.
And, you know, because we've spent a lot of money on plans over the years. I mean, I know you've been part of it, and some have been very good. I mean, I can remember when we worked on the Brownsville First plan, where we brought all the public entities together to get that done. It was very successful. I created the Unification Committee, I think in 91, 92, to bring all the public entities together to discuss and share projects that needed to be shared amongst the entities. And that's worked pretty good. But none of them have required the funding level that this has required. The Vision 2000 plan, which in spite of ourselves, we didn't follow it, but things happen anyway. So what I'm leading up to this is that each entity has a plan, like the MPO has its plan. I'm chairman of the MPO. The P&Z has its plan. The planning department has a land use, and PUB has the water and wastewater plan and the utility system plan and all that stuff. So what the MPO does, for instance, in its planning and making it happen, is Imagine Brownsville going to be participating in all those meetings to get informed as to what's going on with each entity to assist, or how do you see that happening?
Well, we're trying to figure everything out at this point. I mean, it's an all-inclusive effort, and I believe that most of the people that are involved in this effort are involved in those various organizations, and so whatever it takes to improve communication and accomplish what's best is what we'll do.
Again, I want to thank you for bringing it to us, whether we agree or disagree. Hopefully I'm proven wrong. I don't mind being proven wrong for something good that benefits the community. I just saw so many things that brought my concern that out of principle I voted against it, and I will vote against it. But like for instance, the MPO is working on the West Parkway. That has nothing to do with Imagine Brownsville, although it's in the Imagine Brownsville plan. So, I mean, to take credit from the MPO or the P&Z for doing what it's doing, that's not going to happen, right? You're there just to bring together and share information, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Anybody else has any questions?
Mayor, may I have the floor?
Oh, wait a second. One at a time, please.
May I have the floor, Mayor?
Commissioner, I think Commissioner Atkinson wanted the floor.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to talk a little bit on MPO. You know, you mentioned MPO and this West Parkway. I think the city commission voted against it, but there you sit on that MPO trying to move that. I've been on that board too, and it doesn't move forward. It's a stagnating board because our hands are tied at all levels because of we need financial help. This Imagine Brownsville will bring all these entities together and find ways and grants to provide the infrastructure that we need for Brownsville. To say that the MPO is doing something other than what Imagine Brownsville is, it doesn't make sense, because that West Parkway was something we all voted against. Why would you be working on that, on an MPO for the city of Brownsville?
Let me respond.
Yeah, go ahead.
The West Parkway is supported by the Imagine Brownsville, so you're going against the Imagine Brownsville. That makes no sense.
It was never a tollway.
Let me respond.
It was never a tollway.
Let me respond, sir. I have the floor now. You're not recognized. The
It was a West
MPO
Loop.
supports the West Parkway, and it works through TxDOT to get these things happening. It depends on funding in partnership with TxDOT. So there's some things we can do, we can't do, that the Imagine Brownsville won't be able to do either. You know, and we know those limitations. But to say that the Imagine Brownsville is going to drive the MPO, I don't think so. I don't think so, because I mean, this is subject to several variables there to make things happen. Okay.
I would just say, Mayor, that we tried to make this as non-political as possible. We didn't endorse any project per se. We put whatever the community brought into the plan, and then this organization will help drive it forward, and everybody will have a say. So,
Well, I guess what I think needs to be clear here is that the MPO has certain criteria that it must abide by in conjunction with the state. I mean, it's written that way, and we have to work according to those guidelines and get those grants to make these infrastructure improvements. We can't do it as much as we would like sometimes, but they get done eventually with the help of everybody there in the MPO. It has nothing to do with Imagine Brownsville, but it has to do with the funding that's available and the prioritization that is agreed on by the MPO. So Imagine Brownsville may have a different opinion as to whether the parkway is a good thing or not a good thing, but the MPO is the ultimate authority and is not abdicating that authority, and it's going to do everything it can according to the criteria that it's established that makes that organization work. So I don't think Imagine Brownsville is going to have anything to do with that. Now, somebody from MPO can share that information with Imagine Brownsville, pass it on to where everybody else is aware of it. Our meetings are open. People can participate and contribute if they want to, or object or support if they want to. But it needs to go forward however that organization sees best. So, I mean, I don't think you would disagree with that, would you?
well, as I mentioned before, I think that, well, I don't believe Imagine Brownsville endorsed any particular project. If a project came up by the public, we put it in for discussion, and as I mentioned, this coordinating board doesn't have any authority to, over any other public entity.
It will not be endorsing projects, it would just be sharing the information, is that right?
Well, I think that, we're trying to figure this out. I think that possibly we will put some plans that came up through Imagine Brownsville on the table, let everybody discuss it, and nature will take its course. How much is it going to cost? Who's it going to benefit? Where the resource is going to come from, et cetera. And so it's more of a mechanism, and it's a good process.
Yeah, and that's similar to what we do at the MPO or the PUB, the same thing. Where are we going to get the funding? What's the priorities?
I'm not here to say that we're taking over the MPO or anything else.
Okay, any, Commissioner Camarillo, you wanted to say something?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say, appreciate you coming by, Mr. Westerberg. I think you provided great leadership, as well as the other tri-chairs, and I'm glad you're here today to bring this forward to the city of Brownsville. I think this move is one of the more logical ways to help move our city forward. I truly believe that, because we're at that next phase of how do we make this all happen. We saw it this evening with a championship football team from Hannah. We need to be working every other day or every other week with BISD as we work with any other department here within City Hall. BISD is so important, our PB is so important, our Port of Brownsville is so important, and oftentimes we don't do that. And oftentimes everybody is doing 100 things all at the same time separately. And so there must be some sort of a way, a mechanism to bring everybody together, work together, unite the city as it should be. That's what this will do. Involve the people. Very important to make sure that there is transparency and that the folks understand what we want to do and how important it is to Brownsville to act now and to think about down the road. The mentality of it's always been that way, so why do something different? Or what, BISD is BISD, and your city, you do what you have to do for you. Everything we do in the city of Brownsville makes an impact on every other entity, and it's ridiculous to know how often we don't come together. And so I think this is what we're going to do. I believe in the project. I believe that this is the next step forward. And again, we could criticize all the great things that have happened in this community, especially winning the award. But at the end of the day, I think we need to think past everything besides the critics and say, now's the time to Brownsville to move forward. But to bring our counterparts, BISD, the Port, PUB, the school district, and again, the university. So that's where I stand. Now's the time to move forward, and I think that this is going to do just that.
Any questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Zamora.
Just want to clarify some things. I'm looking at the breakdown of the expenses, and one of the items under administration is a grant coordinator at $38,000 annual. Is that a full-time position? I imagine it would be at that, that's a salary.
I believe it is. We came up with with that $75,000 budget as a bare bones. There will be some additional in-kind services, and one of those, the concept of one of those is to maybe pool some grant writers. Most of the entities have one at least. And so if we can pool those, we can identify resources maybe collectively, and it has more emphasis in getting a grant. I will tell you that I've gotten very good feedback from Solomon Ortiz and our state reps and our state senator by saying that the communities that have a plan that are united stand a much better chance of getting federal and state funds. And we all know that we're in tough economic times. Congress, on the national level and on the state level, are challenged, and so we just can't afford to make any mistakes. We need to pool together our resources and realizing what we need for infrastructure and other things.
Okay, in the event we receive a grant, say $300,000, you said this board has no authority. How will it be decided that, how will this money be spent? Will the money be returned to the respective entities for implementation of the plan? I'm a little confused on how the money, when it comes in, how that will be distributed and how it will be used.
Well, once again, I can't tell you exactly that X amount's going to go, pinpointed exactly. I think that the concept here, and we received, it's very exciting that we received the support from all the entities that are willing to work together and pool their resources. And so we came up with this budget and expense item that we thought was a bare bones. And that's about all I can tell you at this point. I mean, we're still going forward. I don't know if city attorney might want to make a comment on that.
Basically, I strongly think that this is going to take the form of an interlocal agreement. I would imagine that a lot of the projects or the specific strategies may be endorsed by Imagine Brownsville, but the individual projects will be projects conducted by each of the respective local entities. So although the Imagine Brownsville may say, this is something an idea that comes out of the Imagine Brownsville think tank, basically, that the individual project and some of the grants may come directly to the cities or to the entities doing the projects.
So I see an annual contribution of $25,000 from each entity, but in the event we receive grant money, would we still need to contribute that money?
Well, and I think that's a good point, good question. I think it's our hope that going forward, some of these grants would help us perpetuate and take the place of the $25,000. Maybe it'll be less, maybe it'll be zero from the entities next year, but we're trying to come up with a mechanism that's going to work to take us to the next level, and maybe we haven't thought of everything, but we think it's a pretty good plan as far as getting us through this first year. We have the willingness, everyone's making the meetings, and we're just about to the point, we have 4 out of 7 public entities that have endorsed this and are committed, and of course we're asking you tonight to do it, and the other 2 have indicated today that they're ready to go with it as well.
Wait a second.
Mr. Rustenberg, thank you for coming here tonight. One of the things that I think we need to get out is that my understanding of this board is that it's a collaborative board. And each of the entities, based on what I've heard, listened, discussed, is going to participate and going to address issues and then say, these are the 4 or 5 issues that best benefit the whole. And then the participants would then go back, talk to their individual boards. The individual boards would then come forward, vote on that issue. The city of Brownsville is not giving up sovereignty, and neither are any of the other boards. BISD, they're still going to have control of their budget. And based on what we've discussed and what I've heard discussed, the grant writer obviously is going to pursue items for the board if it qualifies. And it's also going to assist the individual entities for collaborative projects. Obviously, those monies would have to go to their own entities to be used and funded based on the requirements of the grant. But I think we're getting the cart before the horse because we don't have any money yet. And at this point, the idea is for us all to work together, give up some of our, shall I say, turf, because I hear a whole lot of protectionism and we don't have anything. We're one of the poorest communities in the country, and we have a plan, and it was the #1 plan in the state of Texas. And the idea now is how do we implement that plan to make our community a better place for each and every individual in this community and people who want to come here. And the idea, obviously, starts with collaboration. And when we sit back and we talk about, well, I don't want to give up this because it's mine, we don't have a whole lot right now. We need to move forward, and I invite the mayor to participate. If he wants to learn about it, if the MPO wants to learn about it, and I believe there's members of the MPO who are or were involved in Imagine Brownsville. I invite them to continue to participate. One of the things that we were discussing was the administrator or the representative, elected representative for the city, the position should rotate. So each and every person within the city council or commission would then have an opportunity to attend the meetings because we all want to be informed. And I highly recommend that the mayor participate as well, because without a unified front, just as the congressman, the state representatives, the state senator, and all these other people who deal with organizations that fund us to a large extent through grants, appropriations, they realize that without a united front, without goals and objectives all participate in, we're not going to get the money we need. There's a lot of money coming out of Washington these days, stimulus money. We need to get the lion's share of that. And we should be the poster child for development because there's a lot of development to do right here in our own backyard. And if we don't continue that way, it's going to be a poorer place than it is now. And I sure don't want to see that when I leave my term. And I sure don't think anybody else sitting up here wants to leave the city of Brownsville worse off than we are today. We're in a recession, tough times. Everybody needs to work together. And I thought it was really, really heartening to sit in those meetings with people from BISD, people from PUB, people from each of the organizations that has participated at this point. And I don't know when that has happened before. And if we can talk to BISD about where they're going to put a school, then we can talk about where the infrastructure needs to be placed, we can coordinate it, we can save money, and we can decrease the tax burden, if possible, for everybody. And these are all good things. And I think at the end of the day, we can't afford not to participate in this. When I first ran for office, I didn't realize the city of Brownsville didn't have a plan. And then I find out that, you know, it struck me as very odd that a community of this size, we're pushing 200,000 people, doesn't have a plan in place, and a bunch of individual MPO and RMA and this and that, individual organizations running around with their own system aren't going to promote the goals of the entire community. And I think what we're trying to do here is fill that gap and promote a consistent, unified direction for this community so that we can produce economic development. Because if people get paid more, they're going to have a better standard of living, and things are going to relax a little bit for everybody. I really commend you. I commend the organization. And I think at this time, there are naysayers, there are detractors, but success is the definition and will quiet all the opposition. So good luck, thank you, and I support you.
Very well said. You'd make a pretty good attorney, I believe.
Commissioner Gowan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Westerberg, for coming tonight. Is this on? Okay. I think it's important as well to remember that the process or the program or the vision is constantly going to be evolving. Every success will build on another. Every defeat will build on hopefully an improvement so that the next time it can be a success. Just like Hannah, to use Commissioner Camarillo's example, didn't start the season knowing they were going to win the district championship. And every game they won, I'm sure, gave them the courage and the energy to go on to the next. And every play that didn't work hopefully took them back to the drawing board to communicate again and again and improve their performance. And that's what this is. We can't answer all of the questions about what if, because we're just barely starting. And until we know how it goes and how that success or failure occurs, we can't predict and dot every I and cross every T. We have to have faith that together, which is something new for the community in many ways, will take us to where we need to go. And so that's what we need to remember.
Commissioner Longoria, did you want to say anything?
Yes. Back in June, Pete Gonzalez, Ben Medina, and Larry Brown, we went to Washington seeking guidance and monies for the city. One of the major things that was brought to our attention and was told that we needed to do was that we needed to come as a unified front, because that's what our congressmen are doing. Our 3 congressmen are using a unified regional approach to funding within Congress. And upon doing that, I mentioned to Congressman Salomon Ortiz and to Congressman Henry Cuellar that we have Imagine Brownsville, that we do have the project, we do have that vision, and we have it in writing, and we have the plan. And just to reiterate and to mention what Congressman Oberstar in the 3 minutes that we were able to speak, he says, bring me this plan that you're talking about, and I will fund it. There wasn't, I'll look into some money. I'll fund it. Strong words from a very powerful man. Now, it's never been done before in Brownsville, but yet it gets something the size of Imagine Brownsville had never been done. There was great plans, no doubt about it. Ever since 2003, I've been talked about and I've been versed on every single project that was been brought up since the early 90s. But you can never, there has not been one project with the magnitude and the involvement that Imagine Brownsville has had. Now, I think it's time. Commissioner Triani and I, we had a very good conversation yesterday, and one of the topics that came up and one of the comments was that you look at the makeup of the commissions here at the school board, at the port, and you see a unique group of people, very different from that of the past. Nothing bad to say about our forefathers or their visions, but there is a clear vision, and there's people that are here not for self-interest, not for anything else, but for the betterment of this community. I think that time is now. I think that Imagine Brownsville is this plan, and if we need to invest, so be it, because we finally need to say, I'm tired of saying, I am the city. I'm tired of being told, as I was by somebody from another entity, saying, we don't want to meet with your board because, we're not about the city, we're about this. Very wrong comment. Because you know what? The time is now. The time has come up for every individual, for every person, like Triani said. Let everybody take a stab at it. Let everybody go and represent. And let everybody come and say their piece. And let's work together. Let's forget about BISD. Let's forget about the city. Let's have this unit that you're constructing come together, define a common goal, and let's drop the barrier. Let's drop the ball. Not drop the ball, I'm sorry. Let's drop that pride that everybody's always had within their entity, and it's about me, and it's not about you, and it's not about you. This is a time for Brownsville. I think the next trip we should take to Washington, I think that your board, one of the things that I would ask is that you take it upon yourselves or take it as a task to tell us when we should go to Washington together as a united front, as the entities representing Brownsville versus everybody going up at different times of the year, lobbying for different efforts. I think we should decide on a set of goals and take that approach. I think it'll work. And I think that through this board that you're creating or this committee, I think that defining those goals and having every entity agree that this is going to be our plan. This is what we're looking at. And I think that will be more successful at the state level, And I think that'll be very successful at the federal level. So by all means, Fred, thank you so very much for the time that you put into this, because you receive nothing for this. Sometimes you don't even get a thank you. But thank you, Fred. And, you know, let's go forward with this. Let's stop looking at the negative and let's look at the positive and move forward on it. Thank you.
I'll say one thing and I'll be quiet. I support this Imagine Brownsville. I was skeptical, like the mayor at the beginning, but I jumped into it. What I take out of this Imagine Brownsville is that it brought a lot of entities together. Mr. Reese, I know you nod your head like you don't, but you gotta understand, people are coming together from different entities. That's a first, man. Hold on, let me finish before you talk. And what you need to know about this group that we're trying to, it's called lobbying. When we go to Washington, when we go to Austin, these senators, I remember John Cornyn meeting with 3 different entities from Brownsville, the Port of Brownsville, UTB, and the city, all going in, doing their own little things. How powerful would it be, Mr. Reese, if all 7 of us, representing every different entity, went up to you and your congressman, Mr. Reese, and we all come up to you, bombard you as a big group and tell you, this is what we want, as opposed to him going by himself, Ms. Gowan going by herself, Mr. Chirani going by himself. What this Imagine Brownsville is going to do, and by the way, I appreciate Ms. Gowan, who is a new elected official, coming in and attending the meetings and seeing how good this Imagine Brownsville can be if you give it a chance. And for the people at home, it's connections. This board, what I hope and what I see out of this board that can be is the connections. The MPO that he sits on, there's no lobbyists. They meet every month and they talk about what they want to do, and I sit there, I get bored. Sometimes I don't even go to these meetings anymore because nobody's doing anything. They just talk and talk and talk, and I think a lot of people at home can feel like me, that we're tired of people just meeting and, you know, what if we can do this? What if this can happen? But this board, Mr. Reese, that's going to be formulated, it's going to have teeth because we're going to find lobbyists for this group to go up there as a big group, and we're going to bite congressmen and senators and say, look, this is what we want. This is what we need for Brownsville. And to me, that's why I support this Imagine Brownsville, because finally we're going to get something where as a group we can go up there aggressively as opposed as by ourselves. I'm done.
Fred, let me ask you this. Not the in-kind contribution, which equals to money by the city. $850,000 was paid by the city. Was there any monies paid by any of the public entities?
I don't believe there was for the...
So the city paid full $850,000?
I do know that there was a lot of time and effort put in by the different entities.
All the entities, I understand that. Okay, but nobody put in 1 cent other than the city of Brownsville? Okay. I want to make sure that people don't walk away with a perception here that Brownsville has no plan. Brownsville has always had a plan, and we continue to have a plan. And I want to also make sure that people don't go off with the perception that MPO is useless, because MPO has brought in a lot of monies here and made a lot of projects happen. So, I mean,
Which ones?
Mr. Atkinson can have his own.
Give me one project.
We worked with the airport to get them funding over there, projects.
That was GBIG. GBIG provided the funds for the airport.
The other thing I want
Give me a project, Mayor.
Sir, you're not recognized. The other thing is, Brownsville has come together as a community in many instances. And you will recall that Brownsville First is a good example of getting things done on the bond program in 1990 that we all benefited as a community. It came together. The Continental, to bring Continental here, the community came together. To go lobby in Austin, Brownsville Day through the chamber came together. There's many instances where this community comes together. So imagine Brownsville isn't the one that's going to walk on water and make everything happen, because it's not. I think it's duplication of what we're doing. That's what I think, but that's my opinion. There's many instances where this community has come together, and I think you know, it's a bad perception being created that the city does not work together when it needs to, and I think it does. Now, my concern is that the organization is at this point, it is not a nonprofit. It's, at this point, it's a lot of conceptual. From day one, it was conceptual. It's being formulated as it goes along. My concern is that 72% of the city budget is committed because of civil service. We have 28% that's allowed for administration, which leaves us very little for capital improvements. Now, we have make efforts to get grants, and we lobby, and we'll continue to do so. But I think to expect that imagine Brown's going to solve the solutions of the city, I don't think that's realistic. I think the city will solve some of these things based whoever's here. I don't care who's up here, will address and prioritize those things without Imagine Brownsville, in my opinion. But I think as mayor, I will gladly work with you on any project that needs to be worked on. But based on principle, I have to strongly object to a plan that I think that was ill-conceived, in my opinion. Okay, thank you, Mr. Rustenberg. Appreciate your volunteerism. It's always appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Continue to make boards and boards and boards, and as you go along, you cannot attend all these meetings. You disenfranchise the people of the city. We can't keep up. We have GBIC giving money to people in Mexico to come and invest our dollars that are very scarce. Instead of giving it to people here in the city, we're giving it to people in Mexico. We're completely out of track. I'm imagining Brownsville now, because I've been here all my life. And we have always had plans and things like that. And we always talk about the congressman, but remember the congressman say, help you, you say yes, but you never say when. And I'll give you a very example. The veterans, we're still waiting for hospital. But anyway, I'm trying to say that we need to be accountable. We need to make the decision. You're a political party chosen by us. So is the college, not the PUB, but the school gets. You don't have to take this into consideration for anything. We have not even had a public debate on this matter. Now, I would like to ask, what is the authority to carry on this, sir? What is the authority?
The authority is given by the city commission.
Of the people of this community.
The authority is given by the city commission when it approves the request. The authority is given by the city commission through the funding.
You need to place this item on referendum. We cannot continue to extend, because you're extending, you're making more governments out of this government that we have selected.
Okay,
we do not have the right to make more governments.
Okay.
And this is completely out of line.
Mr. Reese, okay, and I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Okay, I will call for a vote.
Move to approve.
Wait a second. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, one at a time. Commissioner Atkinson makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Next item, please. We're going on item 9.
We're back up to item 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's back up a little bit, getting ahead of myself.
Item 4, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint 5 members and appoint or reappoint 4 alternates to the Board of Adjustments.
Good evening, Mayor. Members of the City Commission, my name is Evaristo Gomez. I'm the permitting director. This item is here is to appoint or reappoint 5 members for the Board of Adjustment, and also to 4 alternate members to appoint or reappoint. And it's up to the City Commission who they wish to appoint.
Okay. Do we have any applications for this board? Somebody submitted one. What's his name? There was one here submitted last time. Ruben Gallegos? Huh?
Do we need applications for reappointments on this board?
No, the reappointment, no.
Mayor, I move to reappoint Mr. Joe Wallace Garcia.
Second.
We got a motion to reappoint Mr. Joe Wallace Garcia, okay, and a second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Mayor, I'd like to reappoint Mr. Ignacio Tortea.
Second.
Okay, reappoint Mr. Ignacio Tortea by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor? All
Aye.
opposed,
Aye.
motion carries.
I'd like to appoint Don De Leon.
Is he on the board or no?
He's not on the board.
Is there an application?
He has one on file. He's been.
Does he have one
He's
on
applied
file,
for different boards.
We'll look for it.
Yeah.
I think we do.
Pardon me?
I think we do. I have to
Okay,
look for it.
so we have an application for Don De Leon. Do we have a second motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to appoint Abraham Galansky to the Board of Adjustments. Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Do we have any nays? Or
Nay.
they're all ayes?
No.
We got one nay, two nays,
3 nays.
3 nays, 4 nays. The motion does not carry. Okay, I'd like to appoint Raul Marquez. I have the application here. He's a contractor. Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any nays? No, motion carries. Any other appointments? There's Ruben Gallegos Jr.,
I'd like to, if I could, reappoint Mr. Ruben Herrera.
Ruben Herrera.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Who submitted Mr. Gallegos' name?
That's my appointment for GBIG.
Pardon
Mayor.
me?
That's my appointment for GBIG.
Oh, Jimmy, okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was for this appointment here, okay. Any other appointments on this board? That's it?
Alternates, we need the alternates now.
Pardon me?
Now we need to vote on the alternates.
We need to vote on the alternates now.
Okay.
Are they seeking
any-
re-application?
Any applications submitted for this consideration, or can I have a motion to table to get some applications?
I don't have
Motion
Getting
to
submitted,
table.
not to my office.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion to table for the alternates only
Okay.
for the next meeting. We have a second by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Please get the applications in, ladies and gentlemen, for consideration for next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Number 5.
Item number 5, consideration and action to reappoint one member to the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation Board.
Mayor, I'd like to reappoint Mr. Ruben Gallegos.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. I think it's a good appointment. Mr. Gallegos, second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 6, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2009-603-CU, an ordinance to allow a conditional use permit to sell on-premise alcohol for lots 2 and 3 of the Professional Plaza subdivision located at 568 Spring Mart Boulevard.
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, the property stated in red, it's a little plaza on Spring Mart Boulevard. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application to you. It's for a nightclub at that location. This is a public hearing, and I believe there's some opposition by Mr. Perlman.
Okay, this is a public hearing, ladies and gentlemen. Is anybody here for or against? This is your time to speak
And the
out.
applicant is also here.
Pardon me?
The applicant is also here.
Okay. Let's hear from the applicant first. Who's the applicant? Okay, would you please come forward? State your name and what you're trying to do, and maybe answer some questions from the commission.
My name is George Rafidi. We're trying to have like a sport bar, no dancing floor, no food, screen TVs to play like the games, and just basic stuff.
Okay. Is there any questions from the applicant by this commission? Okay. No, okay. Do we have a public hearing here? Is there anybody here for or against? Well, please come forward. Manny. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Please.
My name is Manuel Perlman. I am the developer of all that area where Springmont Boulevard is. I have two properties. Well, basically, I have more than two properties. On one side and across the street from where this is. And what I would like to know before you approve this item, I would like to hear a little bit more what they have on mind. According to the agenda, it says here to allow conditional use permit to sell on premises alcohol bar for lots 2 and 3 of the Professional Plaza subdivision. It is too vague for me to tell me what is exactly what they are planning to do. In that location, they had just finished building a building about 13,000 square feet. Are they planning to use the complete 13,000 square feet for the bar? Are they going to put a bar of 1,000 feet? What is exactly what they are planning to do over there? The main problem that I see is that those two lots, 2 and 3, they have only 50 parking spaces. Several years ago, I sold, unfortunately, to a sport bar with the name of AK, a property of 1.5 acres on the expressway. It was the biggest mess we ever had in that area. They built a building that was too big for that site, not enough parking for the automobiles, not a decent plan for what they were going to build. As a matter of fact, they had only 2 restaurants and about 200 or 300 people drinking beer. You can imagine that after finishing a bucket of beer, the body is asking for relaxation. They were using the streets, all the sidewalks, all the lots to clean themselves, and please forgive me the word, to urinate on those places. In addition to urinate in those places, they were leaving garbage, bottles, cans, that we have to send on a daily basis people to clean the space because it was just a pit of garbage. I don't know if they are going to use 13,000 square feet for a bar. According to the city ordinances, if they are going to build a bar, exclusively a bar, or you can call it in Spanish a cantina, because it's not going to be any food in the place, nothing. The requirement for parking lot is 1 parking lot space for every 100 feet of the bar. If they have only 50 parking lots, parking spaces in that area, in the complete lot, in the complete lots 2 and 3.
Let Mr. Medina respond to all that. Ben, please come over here and either reassure or answer his questions.
Well, right now, sir, the applicant is applying for zoning concurrently. They're trying to get their building permit. They have proper zoning. So if this was a restaurant not serving any alcoholic beverages, it will be located there. They'll work straight with the building official. At this point, since they're asking for a beer and wine permit, a conditional use permit, because they're within 1,000 feet of houses, they have to come through this process. Concurrently, it's a concurrent process. They're right now working with the building official. The building official will tell them how much parking spaces they will need, how many tables and chairs they can have.
The question is, will they have, what's the size of the facility first? How many square feet? And how many people are, is the capacity based on that size? And based on that capacity, how many parking spaces is required, okay? And will all that match with what Mr. Perlman is requesting, that will satisfy compliance to where it's not create a mess like AK, where you had more people in there than the parking spaces allowed and the size of the
Exactly,
building.
sir, and that's what the building official will do with them concurrently with this process. And if the building official says, well, you can only have this many chairs and tables, then they have to do their own analysis. At that point, do they go forward, or they just, this is not a good site for them?
Evaristo, please come forward. We're putting the cart before the horse. We're approving something without knowing.
Okay, the business is 3,000 square feet. The plans are at our office right now, and it requires one parking space for every 100 square feet, so it's a total of 30 parking spaces. Yes, they're short 19 parking spaces, but tomorrow the Irrigation District #1 will hold a meeting so they can go ahead and grant their property behind this business right here, so they can go ahead and add 40 parking spaces, and they will go ahead and comply with the plaza. Yes, so that's another reason we have not also issued the permit, because of the requirements on the parking spaces.
But would it be best to bring it back when they get the required parking spaces? You want to answer that?
Well, the meeting will be sometime tomorrow morning. I don't know if it's up to you.
What do you recommend?
Well, go ahead and approve what needs to be approved here, with the condition that if the parking spaces, because I did tell this to the owner and the contractor, that we need those additional parking spaces, or else our department will not issue the permit.
Okay.
We will not issue the permit.
You answered the question, Commissioner Longoria?
Mr. Gomez, the businesses that are in operation around where they're going to have their establishment, their operating hours are usually done by 6 p.m. when they're going to be opening their business, thus allowing them to have access to other spots. True or not true? Now, I know this has been done with other professional offices and such, because your office, or they've done it before when somebody opens a party mart, when they open one of those little party businesses. We're going to let you, because you know what, the cell phone business and the little mom and pop is closing at 5 o'clock. So when you start your operation at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, those parking spots are available. Have we not done that in the past?
No, Commissioner. Remember, some time back we don't enforce time usage that overlaps from one time to another time. So our department will not enforce that. So that's not, we don't allow that in our. That's not a part of the city ordinance.
That's an added amount of spaces that are available.
Yes.
But we must make sure they fulfill the criteria.
Yes. But
that they have to have so much parking, which
correct.
is good. They're gonna have 40 more than, Commissioner.
Yeah. No, and that's what I'm getting at.
That's a moot issue.
We dealt with that before in the past.
I did talk.
Yes. My concern is we only have 2 meetings, and if we table this, they're not gonna have a second. We're not gonna have an opportunity to do another.
But he's saying to approve it subject to that the approval of the parking. That's what he's saying. Right? That's what you said, right? And that can easily be done here.
Yes. Yes.
That's not a problem, unless you have an objection.
Right, but basically, as I mentioned, I mean, this is a conditional use permit. They have the zoning. If Mr. Gomez says that, well, hypothetical, you can only have 10 tables because of the parking spaces, then, you know, the applicant needs to decide, is it something that cost effective for me to go forward or not? But at this time, we're only considering the conditional use for the beverage.
Yeah, but the concern's a moot issue already, because, I mean, it's gonna be subject to the approval, and he's gonna exceed the amount of parking spaces required, based on what Mr. Gomez is saying. Okay. I think that answered your question, Mr. Perlman. We're going to approve it subject to that they get the parking minimum required, but they will exceed the required amount.
If you please forgive me, it's not only the matter of the parking spaces. It's the matter of who is going to take control of the people outside, who is going to be cleaning all the mess that they're going to be doing outside, who is going to be there 9 or 10 o'clock at night with the equipment to remove the cars that are going to be parking in spaces that they do not belong to them.
Well, that's
I
up to-
will suggest, if it is possible, until they can really guarantee that is going to be a control operation, that they are not going to be messing up like that it happened before with the other place, I have no objection. But I want to be sure that they are not going to mess me up.
I think that's a code enforcement issue and also a tenant landlord issue. This is not something for the city commission to get into because we can't guarantee anything like that. That would be like going to your business and micromanaging you and telling you that you have to make sure that you're policing there if somebody throws a plastic bag or whatever. I mean, that's impossible. That's up to code enforcement. If they see somebody littering, to cite them. That's up to the landlord to make sure that they comply with good standards of keeping up the property so it doesn't devalue the property and also doesn't affect the marketing of the businesses there. Nobody wants a dirty property. I mean, I think nobody's going to be intentionally leaving diapers overnight there for the next day where it will hurt everybody else. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to do it intentionally. But for us to guarantee you that there's going to be somebody there, that's out of our scope as city commission. I don't think we can do that. Unless you tell me we can, city attorney. You're asleep?
No, I mean, I think the mayor is correct. The issues that this gentleman's talking about are essentially matters involving code enforcement.
And the landlord.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Perlman.
I have a question for the owners.
Commissioner Zamora. Thank you, Mr. Perlman.
I see an SPI address for the representatives and the agents. What other businesses do you own? Other nightclubs, bars?
I own another 3 gas stations, one in South Padre Island and 2 in Brownsville.
Okay, no other businesses?
Yes.
No other nightclubs or bars?
Oh, no, that's a new business I'm starting.
May I move to close?
Okay, we welcome you. Thank you for making the investment, and we wish you success, and hopefully you'll be good corporate citizens here, and anything we can do to help you succeed, we're here. No other comments from the public? There's public hearing. Okay, this is a public hearing. This is a public hearing. You got something to say?
The lighting comes in once they open their establishment, like every other establishment in Brownsville. Oh, that was up to the developer when the developer did it.
Well, no, that's also has to do with our department over here, how much light we want to pay. Because, I mean, the more poles we put up there, the less dividend we get back, so, you know. Anyway. Okay, can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close, Mayor.
We have a motion by Commissioner, who made the motion? Commissioner Longoria?
Camarillo.
Camarillo, Commissioner Camarillo made the motion to close public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gowan. All in favor to close?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. This is an action item. Can we have a motion to approve or disapprove?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Camarillo.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Longoria. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Good luck. Next item?
Item 7, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2009-1429-C to modify the boundaries of a 031 overlay district, ordinance 2004-1429, on an area near Coffeeport Road.
Wait a second. I recommend you come back for the second public hearing because you never know what can take place. Don't take it for granted, okay? I'm sorry, they were leaving. City Secretary, I wanted to make sure they got that.
Item 7, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2009-1429-C to modify the boundaries of a 031 overlay district, ordinance 2004-1429, in an area near Coffeeport Road and Central Avenue, area near Central Avenue and Ruben Torres Boulevard, and an area near Amelia Lane and Old Alice Road.
Commissioners, this is more like a housekeeping matter. It's the 031 overlay district is a non-residential overlay district. A few months ago, the City Commission approved this zoning case down on Coffeeport, and I don't see the light here, but it's on the J Green. And then right next door, the 118, we have an applicant before us for an additional apartment complex. So we are asking the commission to amend those boundaries to allow the J, which the City Commission already approved, so to amend to remove the 031 from those two parcels. Also, there's another map, and also on this other map, that's 7 towards my right, right there where that palm is at, that also has a residential subdivision on it. So we're asking for the commission to remove the overlay from that parcel as well.
Based on staff's recommendation, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody for or against this? If not, can I have a motion to close public hearing?
Move to close. Second.
Motion to close by Commissioner Longoria, second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is an action item. Motion to approve by Commissioner Troyani. Second by Commissioner Zamora. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Public comment period. We have Mr. Robert Uresti from Calle Pluton, Mr. Fernando Reese, and Roman Perez. Welcome to your chambers. In that order, please. You got 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I came today because the next meeting I won't be able to come, so that's your Christmas gift, okay? I got to go to Houston to the doctors. I came because a lot of people have talked to me, and they told me that they make good praises to me and said, I wish we could come up there and speak like you, Mr. Uresti, and the other people come up here. And several people sit down with me and they talk about concerns about the city. And one young man, he used to work for the city for 25 years. I call him young because I'm older than he is. He told me about a little story about the sports park. And he said, you know, Mr. Uresti, that there are rattlesnakes out there. And that's a concern for me, for all the kids that are out there playing. Has anybody looked at that issue? I said, I didn't even know there were rattlesnakes out there. He said, yes, there are. And you have to look at that, especially during the summer. And I said, there are rattlesnakes down at 511, I know that, Palo Alto out there, Titan Tires, I know there's rattlesnakes. And I was going to bring an issue about what does the public health has not given out information to our public, because besides rattlesnakes in the city, we do have them. Coral snakes, the black widow, brown recluse spider, scorpions. We have ticks all over the place because of the dogs. And we also have poison plants in Brownsville. Okay, and especially a beautiful flower, everybody plants it. You know, where I work, they put a whole bunch of that stuff. I don't know what the name of it, but the kids grab it and they break it and the milk comes out. And they put their fingers in their mouth. First thing I tell them is, you know it's poisonous? And people say, we don't even know about that. So it seems like the city has an opportunity to start educating our citizens, because that's not being done in the BISD at all. So that's an important factor that I bring up. Another factor is about, it's a pothole. And again, if you told, you said at the last meeting of this commission that sometimes we don't talk to the public works. Well, this one is at the Boca Chica and Old Port Isabel Road, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And it's going to be like Public Works is going to tell me that is TxDOT. But of course, you all finished that road a couple of years ago. If you look at that, the Kentucky Fried Chicken's right there. And if you take a look at how the trucks have to go over and really almost hit the sign or the signal lights you have there, that is a concern. And sooner or later, somebody's going to hit it. If you take a look at that, you'll see how deep it is now, and it's getting worse and worse. So I thank you all for letting me speak today. I thank the commissioners and the mayor, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and I hope we start a better, fresh year next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fernando Reese.
Mayor, Commissioners, good afternoon.
Merry Christmas.
Well, every day goes by and you people surprise me. You know, for example, you know, when they were trying to get that bond money for the university, how they said that the tuition was not going to go up? Bunch of lies. And you're part of that. And now you're building painting a mural there. $660,000. The tuitions of the students has gone sky high, you know. And we continue not to believe our congressmen, you know. Cantinflas said, the politician will tell you yes, but he will not tell you when. So that's the congressman that you went to see over there, that you want to take these people from this new initiative that you want to start, that to begin with, 400 people. Have you seen the list of 400 people? Who authorized him? What is the authority for him to form this entity? Who authorized him? You have not consulted the people, the government. We are the government. And you know, in fact, you know, you have to get your act together, because you know, there's things that are wrong in this entity here, and you are aware of it, and you do not report it. You're an accessory to crime. You know what I mean? Because you know, there's a lot of questions that have not been answered here. We need to have a forensic audit of the sports park. 17 million over budget. You know, this is not a game here. You know, the people of Brownsville are tired of this. And they're asking, you know, we're supposed to be professional people, attorneys, professors, educators, federal agents, motorcycle man. And what do we have? Nothing here. We have nothing here. Because all we have, and I'm reading the book right now, lies, lies, and lies. You are the architects, like I have always told you ahead of time what's going to happen, for ruin. We have seen that, and we're seeing it in the federal government, the state, county, and now the city. Well, we're ahead of all of those. We're ahead of all of those because you failed to keep the people informed. You have to have transparency, and you have to respect the Constitution. First Amendment, freedom of speech.
Time is up.
Qué rápido, hombre. See you next year.
Thank you, Mr. Reese.
Good evening. My name is Roman Pettis. I wanted to come talk to you today about what I continue the conversation we had last meeting, the last regular meeting, about having some sort of performance review of your city attorney. And the reason I bring this up is because I feel that there's some sort of sloppiness. I don't think the citizens deserve to have sloppiness with our city officials or city employees at high-ranking positions. No problem. Sorry. I want to point to three particular instances that have occurred this year in the last 8 or 9 months that he has been employed with the city of Brownsville, that 5 of you voted to hire him. One is his personal financial statement is required to be submitted within 45 days of his appointment. And this occurs according to the Texas Local Government Code that stipulates that those municipalities with population over 100,000 require their mayor, their commission, their city manager, and their city attorney to submit a personal financial statement. He did not turn his personal financial statement within 45 days. He waited almost 5 or 6 months after he was appointed to turn it in. This is actually a misdemeanor. It's a crime for him not to have turned it in on time. And the only reason he turned it in was because I asked for excuse me? Okay. An open records request that I had asked for. And it's actually a civil crime. And I really, truly believe that you all should be able to do a performance review of this particular incident. Also, in May, he actually, come here, excuse me? he keeps moving his hands like he's,
You have the floor, I'm not.
okay, well, okay. I also am concerned that in May, he was representing this city commission with our tax dollars, and in a particular court case, he was submitted a personal information that to me was embarrassing as a city taxpayer, that he actually used his personal information or his personal life as a reason for him not being able to show up for court in representation of you. And the problem that I have is that I know that the mayor and some believe that we come in here in personal comments and we embarrass the city. I believe that this document, with this particular 3-page document talking about his personal life and not being able to be professional enough to be able to show up for court to represent you with our tax dollars, I assume with our tax dollars, is unprofessional, embarrassing, and deserves a performance review. Third, I truly believe that as the city attorney, he has not been able to show some sort of consistency in protecting some of you from being able to be attacked personally. One instance was when Mr. Alex Arsenis was up here referencing 2 individuals without mentioning by name. He stopped them from being able to speak, but last meeting there was a couple of you that were mentioned by name specifically. I am asking for you as city commissioners and mayor to be able to do some sort of performance review, because what you did to Jim Goza and having so many performance reviews of him, it's unfair that somebody who is employed, and you are the only ones who can hire or fire him, to be able to have 3 instances where I think that he deserves some sort of performance review. That's just my opinion. I'm hoping you'll listen to me and be able to say that these particular instances merit some sort of performance review. And I thank you very much for your time.
Okay. 2 announcements for the benefit of the public good. Pastor Brad Burke, in conjunction with the city, will be putting an effort of a gift exchange with children from Mexico, and we'll be taking collections of milk, and powdered milk, canned milk, and non-perishable goods. This is at a request made by the mayor to Hermes Music Foundation, so this is in conjunction with Hermes, the city, in conjunction with Hermes Music Foundation, who will provide toys for kids, and the contact person is Brad Burke. A short notice, but hopefully we can get something done. Would you give your phone number out, please? People who want to help.
You can reach me at
238-7005. 238-7005, and I encourage all the churches to contact Pastor Brad Burke, and maybe we can have a citywide effort to get some toys for the children during the holidays.
The canned milk,
And
powdered milk, and then also the names of the kids that would like to have toys.
Yeah, and this is in conjunction with Hermes Music. We want to thank them for doing that. The second thing is, because it's important, was that in conjunction with the city, there'll be a health clinic January 17th, which will be Sunday 9 to 6 with PHC, Valley Baptist, Valley Regional, World's Gym, and the medical community. That'll be for people to be aware now. There will be a health clinic at the event center in conjunction with the city, January 17th on a Sunday 9 to 6. Okay, next thing on the agenda is item 9.
Item 9, consideration and action to acknowledge the Chief Financial Officer's financial statements and cash investment report for the City of Brownsville for fiscal year ended September 30th, 2009.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, before you, I passed out the booklet of the financials for September 30th, 2009. The financial report is unofficial since the numbers have not been audited yet by the firm of Long Shilton. I do have a PowerPoint presentation for you tonight. This is the general fund balance sheet. It compares fiscal year 2008 with fiscal year 2009. And the important part there in that particular schedule is the fund balance. The fund balance at last fiscal year, 2008, was $18,583,317. This year was 17,085,017. Again, this is unofficial. We're still making entries. I just learned today that we're going to make another entry, reducing the fund balance by about 100,000. So it'll be a little less than 16, little less than 17 million rather. The general fund expenditures and revenue summary for the fiscal year, we had a shortfall of 1,498,300, but still ended up with a nice fund balance. The budget that we had for 2009 had a fund balance of 11,468,000. This particular schedule shows you the amended budget of 11,004,000 and the fund balance of 17 plus. This particular schedule shows the revenues and the expenditures by categories, and this particular schedule shows that the main, there were some shortages as far as between 2008 and 2009 or reductions, and that was in the sales tax and intergovernmental. The only ones that really show pluses are the fees and services. We had over $1.8 million, and then property taxes show pluses in the revenue side. All the other revenues, in comparison to fiscal year 2008, we had less. As far as expenditures, in between the 2008 and 2009, we had almost identical expenses, and that's what helped the year, that we were able to spend less than what was in the budget. And if not, we would have been in a lower deficit as far as fund balances. This schedule shows the breakdown of the revenues in the general fund, and the number one revenue in the general fund is the sales tax, followed by property tax, and then fees and services. The expenditures, main one is public safety. That's the largest expenditure for the city. This particular shows you the fund balance summary. It has a reserve fund balance and an unreserved fund balance from various years, from going back from 93 to 2009. During fiscal year 2010, we will, based on certain guidelines that have been issued by the government's accounting standard boards, statement number 54 that I'm holding here, that we are going to be required to have a policy as far as fund balance. In other words, we're going to have to tell, the policy is going to have to tell us more or less how much is the right amount to keep. Right now, we're keeping about 60 days in reserves, and we've been doing this for several years, and obviously we want to keep that trend. This particular schedule shows the unreserved fund balance, and we look at 2009, we had a 16.78% as far as revenues and 16.49% as far as expenses. If you exclude the reserves, then the number is a little bit higher, 20 and almost 20%. Again, this is the fund balance summary, fund balance, and then the actual. And obviously, we bid the budget. Sales tax for the year, we had a decrease between fiscal year 2008 and 2009 of 5.52%. What are we doing? So how are we doing this fiscal year? We're down almost 13% between the first month of the fiscal year last year and the first month of the fiscal year this year. Sales tax, we had seen a growth. Of course, 2008, 2009 shows a drop. I always like to point this schedule out to show you history, what history did to us way back in when we had that recession in '82. It took us 6 years to recover on our sales tax. Then we had another recession in '94, This recession lasted about 3 years. One of the things that we covered last time was the solid waste collections. I know that we talked about this. This is one of our positive things that has happened to us. We've had increases in fees and services that are related to landfill. And right now, we privatize the commercial and residential, and we collected because they pay the city to dump the garbage at our landfill, and GMS paid $3.1 million, A-Line Waste, BFI almost 2.9. So we generated from those two companies almost $6 million in landfill fees. We also have what we call the franchise fee, but we also have add-ons to the franchise fees that we've had several years. Right now, GMS, the money that they collect, we get 22.79%, and Allied Waste, BFI, we're getting 24.97. This is, of course, for fiscal year 2009. And from that, we generated $3,984,996 under the franchise fee plus any add-ons that we've collected. And GMS also has roll-off services. So altogether, those two companies generated for the city a little over $10 million. And I know that last time we talked about maybe having the city run the operation. Based on these numbers, it is very hard to beat these numbers because if we do it ourselves, that means we have to buy our own equipment, we have to hire more personnel, there's workers' compensation insurance issues. Based on these numbers, we're generating $10 million. The building permits, obviously we had strong years. 2009 was not a very good year. Building permits, we went down almost 65% between 2008 and 2009. How are we doing this year? For 1 month, we're down 45%. What? 45%. Property tax rolls, obviously, we have more construction. Between 2009 and 2010, it's a very, very small gain. Obviously, this tax levies are based on the valuation. Convention and Tourism Fund, we have the fund balance at the end of 2008 was $796. For 2009, it's about $209,000. Community development, this is a federal grant, so revenues and expenses always match. Non-bonded debt service, this is for any lease purchases that we have. We have a fund balance of $11,398 at the end of the year. Debt service fund, this is the fund that pays our debt service, our principal and interest on all our debt. We had a fund balance of 3.5 at the end of the year. Landfill tipping fee, fiscal year 2008, we had a $432,000 fund balance. We have a $620,000 at the end of fiscal year 2009. Airport, this is something I like to discuss. As you can see at the second column there, actual 2009, we see expenses exceeding revenues, and one of the reasons this happened is because we had budgeted some sale of land that did not materialize in 2009. As a result, we were short $464,000. I will be coming to you sometime in the near future to amend the airport budget so that we can keep this fund in the black. The bridge fund, we had a decrease in revenues of $418,126 between fiscal year 2008 and 2009. The decrease between 2008 and 2009 was 20.58%. How are we doing so far this fiscal year? For the 1 month, we're down 18.26%. And this chart shows you the highs and the lows. In 2006, we had a very good year. 2009, 2009 was almost to the same amount that we had in 2001. Motor Vehicle Parking System Fund shows that we had a plus in net assets of $16,503. Public transit, we had a net loss of $2,008,000, but that's an improvement from the past year, whereby our loss was less. One of the things that we can think about this is that fuel costs were higher in 2008 than in 2009, so therefore our loss was less in 2009 than it was in 2008. The general fund contributed $614,000 for the operations of bus. Brownsville Golf Center, we had a change in net assets of $23,000. Again, there's a transfer from the general fund for operations of $410,000. This is this is just the insurance fund. We had at the end of the year $1,004,000. These are the investments that the city has or had during 2009. It compares 2008 and 2009. As you can see, there is a decrease between fiscal year in 2008 and 2009. We also invest for BCIC, the Public Improvement District, and the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation. These are the interest earned between 2008 and 2009 by fund. Obviously, our interest rates, our earnings are a lot less than the previous year, and that explains why our numbers fell between 2008 and 2009. And another note that I'd like to mention to you is that we just went through what we call the ongoing surveillance rating by Fitch Ratings. We were very pleased with the rating. Actually, our 4B BCIC sales tax revenue bonds were upgraded from an A to an A+. Our bonds for the city, thank you. Our bonds for the city were kept at the same with a different rating outlook, and it was revised from a positive to stable. So we're the word stable, but at least we were not. We held our own for 2009. And that concludes my presentation.
Motion to acknowledge.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Triani, second. Can I have a second by Commissioner Longoria? Second. Second by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I just had a comment on that. I wanted to congratulate BCIC on their A+.
Congratulations. Next item.
Item
10.
Item 10, consideration and action to authorize the use of Washington Park from February 22nd to 28th, 2010 for the Sombrero Festival, to authorize the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages from February 25th to 27th, 2010 during the festival hours, to authorize the closure of Adams Street between 7th and 9th Streets for the festival from February 24th to 28th, 2010, and permission to use the parking along Madison Street between 7th and 9th Streets for Sombrero Festival vendor parking from February 28th to 24th through 28th, 2010, and to authorize the use of 3 mobile bleachers for seating at the park.
This is an annual thing. Somebody want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Motion by Commissioner Longoria, second by Commissioner Triani. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I don't know if they want to present that.
Mr. Patterson had a presentation on part of it.
Did you want to present or does it matter?
I just wanted to introduce our
I just
Secretary
thought
of the
I'd
Board.
save you. I know you prepared.
Every year it's an annual request, and each year things change a little bit, but we have a Secretary of the Board for Sombrero Fest. Just want to note that we are working really hard with the Sombrero Fest to do improvements to the park and make sure it's the best one ever. So I'd like to introduce our Secretary here.
Great.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Mary Alice Loya, and I am the Secretary to the Board of Directors. Like Mr. Chris Patterson stated, we are requesting, and we appreciate your support every year in helping Sombrero Festival be a part of Charo Days. As you know, many, many years ago, 24 years ago to be exact, Danny Loff, Mark Bernard, and several of us, we got together at Checkers Cafe, and we decided to come up with this rejuvenating of the festival as far as Char Days goes. And this year, we're very pleased and honored to support Mr. Patterson in the new fees that will be implemented. We feel that it's not only the taxpayers' burden, but the Washington Park, the festival, should be able to give something back. And this is our part in doing so. So we do thank you, and we welcome you all at our festival. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Well, motion adjourned by Commissioner Longoria, second by?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed will stay. Thank you.